You are looking at the most terrifying player to ever step foot inside a virtual reality game. He doesn't use magic, he doesn't rely on system assist corrections, he simply slips past lethal attacks and crushes high-level execution bots with his bare hands. The sheer violence of his movements isn't something you learn from holding a controller. It's the survival instinct of a man who was trapped inside a literal nightmare for 10 years. While other people played this game for fun, he was strapped to a chair and pushed past the limits of human agony. Deranged scientists used living players to test extreme pain mechanics, shattering their minds and tearing their sanity to pieces until a new kind of monster woke up. When the alarms blared and the armed guards rushed in, he shattered his restraints and grabbed a blade. And he turned the pristine laboratory into an absolute bloodbath. He moved like a demon, executing everyone in his path. He slaughtered the armored guards while the ghosts of the victims he couldn't save cheered him on from the shadows. He sliced through their defenses, painted the walls red, and gunned down the stragglers without a shred of hesitation. He transformed into an unstoppable predator, driven by pure hatred. He hunted down the executives, determined to make them suffer. The system literally gave him a mission to kill them. When he finally cornered the director, the man begged for mercy. But mercy wasn't an option. He had become the ultimate superhuman, a perfect killing machine, wielding power that defied reality. He ignored the empty threats and ended the executive's life without blinking twice. And after drowning the virtual world in blood, he finally cleared the death game. He left the virtual graveyard behind and logged out. He woke up gasping for air, staring at the ceiling of his real-world bedroom. 10 years had passed in his mind, but his physical body was fine. The godlike muscles were gone, but the trauma was burned into his soul. He tried to convince himself it was just a bad dream, pacing his room in pure disbelief. He wondered if his mind was finally broken, but the violent memories were real. Before we see how he breaks the game, 99% of you aren't subscribed. Please hit that subscribe button to help us reach 1,000 subs, and leave a like. And now, we go back to our boy. He tried to return to college, but the shadows followed him everywhere. The bloody hands of the people he left behind grabbed at his clothes. He couldn't breathe. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. He stood frozen in fear, terrified by his own mind. He slumped on a bench as the ghosts demanded vengeance. They screamed for him to finish the job. He realized he could never live a normal life as long as those monsters were still out there. He had to return. He climbed back into the VR capsule and prepared to enter the nightmare one last time. But he wasn't a helpless victim anymore. First, he disabled the system's combat assistance, a suicidal setting that makes the game unplayable. Then he chose the most useless core ability in existence, locking himself out of using any magic or skills. Armed with 0 buffs and no weapons, he stepped right into the tutorial stage. A massive execution bot dropped from the ceiling, designed to wipe the floor with new players. But the machine didn't realize who it was dealing with. His eyes locked onto the target. He slipped under the attack with terrifying speed. Without a single weapon, he shattered the machine's core with a bare-fisted strike. He cleared the impossible stage, standing victorious in the smoke. As the facility around him went up in flames, he sprinted through the burning corridors, leaving absolute destruction in his wake. He's the scariest player alive. Woo-hyun finds a wounded guard near the exit. The guy offers him a radio, but our boy ignores it. He needs a weapon. He scans the armory wall, passing over the firearms and batons. He picks up a chain scythe. The cold steel feels familiar in his grip, carrying the weight of the endless slaughter from his past life. It is time to leave. Cut to Kang Soil, ex-professional game streamer and proud hipster. Her viewers forced her to play Reverse Planet as a penalty game. She protests the mainstream choice, claiming her hipster pride is weeping in a corner. But a promise to her audience means she has to endure the agony of a popular MMO. She boots up the game to start the challenge. The chat revels in her misery. They know she hates mainstream titles and demand she follow through on the clear-in-one-go challenge. She picks her appearance and chooses a fire ability. Things take a turn when she reaches the combat assist settings. Her chat bullies her into dropping the assist to 0%. A mechanic so punishing that playing without it feels like trying to control a third arm. Global stats show the clear rate for 0 assist sits at a flat 0, as a special mission pops up, offering a massive cash reward for clearing it without help. Soil abandons her hipster pride in record time and accepts the challenge. She assumes it will be a quick death and a funny stream highlight. 2 minutes later, she is crying on the floor. The game throws you into an ambush without explanation, and a basic execution bot wipes the floor with her. Taking on a robot with 0 assist and 1 core element is impossible for a normal player. She respawns and decides to party up. Getting a free carry is a streamer tradition. She hits a brick wall in matchmaking because nobody in their right mind plays on 0 assist. The system only pairs people with the exact same combat assist percentage. If she matches, it means her partner is also playing on 0 assist. She expands her search to ongoing sessions. The system dumps her straight into an active run. She realizes she is screwed. She spawns into a ruined hallway full of shredded robots and scorched metal. The chat wonders if they matched with a pro player on an alternate account. The carnage looks less like a tutorial and more like a war zone. Someone took down an entire squad of bots without using a gun. She decides she has found the perfect carry. She spots the the player responsible and creeps up behind him, hoping to leech off his success. Woo-hyun swings for her neck. His trauma response kicks in, and he draws steel before she can blink. Soil freezes in terror. Recognizing she is just another player, he stops his blade inches from her face. The viewers watch the near decapitation live on stream. Soil introduces herself, terrified but mindful of her content. She asks to tag along as a leech. Woo-hyun agrees, having no idea he is broadcasting his gameplay to thousands of people. They encounter more enemies down the hall. Woo-hyun steps up and dismantles an execution bot with the chain scythe. He moves like a veteran gladiator. Diet Terminators stand no chance against a guy who lived this nightmare for a decade. The chat goes wild watching him. They notice his white eyes and realize he picked Absolute Being. It is the most despised core trait in the game, a choice that sacrifices all magic and skills for a raw physical stat boost. The community unanimously recommends avoiding it at all costs. The viewers think it is a troll build. Surviving a superpower game with no abilities is a death sentence. They watch him defy the game engine. He deflects attacks and shatters metal plating without a single buff. He moves with unnatural precision. The chat realizes they are witnessing a mechanical god operating on pure instinct. Woo-hyun slaughters the remaining bots. The floor is covered in scrap metal and oil. The ghosts in his head whisper for more blood. They demand a more violent revenge for the pain they suffered. Soil decides to contribute. She fires a single bullet from her pistol into the wall. She claims the assist with zero shame. The chat calls her a kill stealer, but she wears the title with pride, throwing up a peace sign for the camera. She continues following her carry deeper into the facility. She asks if he chose Absolute Being on purpose. He confirms the choice without a second thought. The viewers start comparing him to professional Coliseum rankers, all wondering if he is a smurf, account for an esports legend. Woo-hyun detects two more enemies approaching from 20 meters away. Soil is baffled. He has no detection skills, yet he tracks movement better than a radar system. He engages the bots, slipping their strikes and crushing their armor in one fluid motion. The viewers are in awe. This is what a ranker looks like playing on zero assist. The final tutorial boss drops in from the ceiling, the lab's security chief. He boasts an impenetrable particle barrier and an iron skin skill that makes his body harder than titanium. The boss charges, threatening to turn the hallway into their resting place. Soil offers covering fire from the back, a generous term for standing in a corner and watching her carry do all the work. The chief launches a devastating spin attack, all tearing up the floor panels. Woo-hyun reads the trajectory and slips the strike. The impact craters the steel floor, proving one hit means death. The boss pulls out a massive drill attachment, spinning it at maximum speed. Woo-hyun dodges every thrust. He dances around the lethal blows without a single movement correction from the system. The sight of the chief triggers Woo-hyun's darkest memories. The ghosts of the test subject scream in his ear. He remembers the torture, the agony, the helpless screams of his friends. He decides to end it. He drops the scythe. He mounts the boss and caves its face in with his bare fists. The particle barrier shatters. The metal tears under his relentless assault. The viewers watch in stunned silence as a zero-assist player beats a shielded boss to death without using a single skill. Tutorial complete. The challenge is over. Soil asks to add him as a friend. He accepts, logging out before she can rope him into another stream. She is left standing in the ruined hallway, her chat processing the insanity they witnessed. Woo-hyun returns to his dark room, wondering why he didn't spawn back in the other world after beating the level. Fast forward 4 days. The footage is everywhere. The internet community brands Woo-hyun a hacker because human reflexes cannot emulate that kind of movement. The developers at Planet Earth Korea are having a meltdown. Users are flooding the forums demanding an explanation for the impossible gameplay. GM Park Hyun reviews the logs with his team. The system detects 0 unauthorized programs, but the movements are too precise to be human. They conclude he must be using an undetected proxy macro. Back in the real world, Woo-hyun meets up with Soyul at a cafe. They know each other from college, and she is the one who recommended the game in the first place. She shows him the viral clip and explains the hack controversy. The developers contacted her to reach him. They want to run a live verification test to prove his innocence. Woo-hyun realizes this is his golden ticket. Meeting a high-ranking official might give him clues about the real death game that stole 10 years of his life. He doesn't care about his online reputation, but he needs the information. He agrees to do the stream. Soyul is ecstatic, knowing the viewer count will break records. Later that night, she hypes up the broadcast from her setup. The hype train leaves the station before the stream goes live. Woo-hyun logs back in. The chat spams him with hack accusations, demanding proof of his skills. GM Park arrives to oversee the test. The operator is skeptical, expecting to catch a cheater red-handed. He leads them to a private testing room designed to monitor player inputs and block external programs. Park spawns an intermediate training bot. He demands Woo-hyun defeat it using a specific method to rule out auto-combat macros. The condition is clear: defeat the bot without striking its body. Woo-hyun grabs the robot by the face. He exerts a terrifying amount of pressure. The metal bends and snaps under his grip. The bot drops dead. The system reports no external program intervention. The GM stares at his tablet in disbelief. Park is sweating now. He issues a harder challenge. challenge. 3 intermediate bots, chain scythe only, decapitation required. Woo Hyun obliges. He weaves through their simultaneous attacks. He turns them into scrap metal in less than 5 seconds, fulfilling the exact conditions of the test. The system continues to report 0 hacks detected. The viewers are forced to accept that they are watching pure, unadulterated skill. The GM has seen enough, but his pride takes over. He summons the Edival, an advanced training bot meant to humble pro players and push top-tier rankers to their limits. Woo Hyun stares down the machine. His eyes glow with the white light of an absolute being. The real game is about to begin. Woo Hyun stares down the machine. The Edival training bot has a single purpose: crush high-tier rankers. He grips his chain scythe, his eyes glowing. The system interface flashes red. The bot launches a massive overhead swing. He slips right under the metallic arm. He strikes the leg joint. He drives his fist into the chassis, but the metal does not even dent. The structural hardness is on a different level than the tutorial models. The bot throws a massive hook. Woo Hyun ducks. One grazing hit means instant death without combat assist. He grabs the machine by the arm. He forces the joint backward. He swings his blade up through the exposed wiring. The bot collapses into scrap metal. The operator stares at his tablet, his face drained of color. The system confirms 0 external programs. As if the chat realizes they are witnessing raw human reflexes. The viewers go wild. The hack accusations vanish in a wave of awe. GM Park Geum-hyun rubs his forehead, forced to accept the reality. The streamer wrap-up begins. Park is sweating under the pressure of the broadcast. Woo Hyun prepares to leave the testing room. Before logging out, he turns back. He has one question. He asks if there has ever been a bug that traps players inside the game. A desperate attempt to find a clue about his 10 years of hell. The GM denies it, claiming Reverse Planet is a flawless system. Woo Hyun accepts the answer and logs off. Soyeol is disappointed to see him go. Later, she catches up with him in the combat prep room. She drags him to the PvP arena hub. The massive holographic dome hovers above them. Since he hates the story mode, and she wants him to fight real people, she is determined to pull him into the core gameplay loop. She breaks down the competitive modes: solo, duo, and team battles. She points to the team deathmatch screen. Today she wants to show him survival mode. He needs to set up a proper build first. She pulls up the interface to allocate his stats. She sets him up with the exact physical build he relied on in the death game, the Superman build. No magic, just raw power. The countdown hits 0. They drop into the ruined military base, a prime spot for high-tiered loot, and a death trap for beginners. Soyeol hides in a crumbling building. She begs him to carry her to victory. The ambient explosions rock the map. A notification chimes. Woo Hyun eliminated a player in the first 30 seconds, then another. The kill feed lights up faster than she can read. The notifications stack up on the screen. It looks like a system glitch. She stares at her screen, unable to comprehend what is happening. The other players are dropping like flies. Woo Hyun takes a punch to the face. He drops the attacker onto the concrete. He is taking on 4 fully geared opponents at once. He checks his gear, unfazed by the ambush. His Soyeol radios him, screaming that she is surrounded. He pulls up the map. She confirms her coordinates on the 3rd floor. He plots a route to her building and starts running. 2 players attempt to ambush him in the street. A mage channels fire magic, confident in his range. Woo Hyun closes the gap and cuts him down before the spell leaves his hands. The man's partner watches in shock. The 2nd player triggers a dark aura. Massive shadow spikes erupt from the asphalt. Woo Hyun flips through the air, finding the single safe gap in the strike zone. He lands and drives his blade through the man's chest. The kill feed updates again. He reaches Soyeol's building without taking a breath. He approaches the exterior door. He grabs the handle to the roof access. He listens, counting the breathing patterns on the other side. He kicks the door open. A camper swings a machete straight for his neck. The man's eyes widen as his target vanishes. Woo Hyun redirects the blade and buries his fist in the man's ribs. He dashes down the stairs. 3 more players drop dead in the hallway. He sweeps the rest of the floor. Soyeol watches the kill tally hit 14. Sparks fly as he tears through the lobby. He enters her room, startling her. She is holding a chainsaw, terrified out of her mind. He asks where she even found that weapon. The game ends. They take 1st place. 10 consecutive victories in 1 session. Soyeol realizes she is sitting on a goldmine of broadcast content. Soyeol begs him to reconsider streaming. She promises to handle all the logistics. He refuses. Entertaining an audience is the last thing he wants to do. The next day, she corners him at a cafe. The community forums are already exploding with rumors about him. Viewers are desperate for more content. He tells her he is not interested in fame. She asks him to at least check his payment. She pulls out a laptop and pitches a new format, a custom presentation she stayed up all night to make. She knows he hates interacting with chat, so she proposes a reality show setup. She will handle the audience while he plays. He plays in silence while she and a professional commentator react to his gameplay. He still turns her down. She tells him to check his email for his share of the broadcast revenue. He opens his inbox. 6 million won just for showing up. But the money is not what catches his eye. A massive donation message from anonymous viewer 62. How does it feel to be back in the real world? Woo Hyun freezes. Test subject 62. Someone from the nightmare knows he escaped. He accepts the streaming deal on the spot. He needs to draw this person out. A few days later, the reality show goes live. The stream starts up. Viewers flood the channel, waiting for his appearance. The studio is set up inside Reverse Planet. Soil brings in Cha Seong-cheol, a famous pro commentator. The man agreed to join the moment he heard the legendary rookie would be playing. They introduce the broadcast to a massive audience. Woo Hyun spawns into the game wearing a privacy mask. The format is simple. They watch his screen and analyze his every move. His main mission begins. Join the Otherworld Management Bureau. He charges into a corrupted forest. Explosions rip through the trees as the guards open fire. He leaps over the blast wave without breaking stride. The guards spot him. Three armed men ambush him from the brush. He draws his chain scythe. The trauma of the death game surges back, demanding blood. He whips the chain around, disarming the guards in a silver flash. A grenade detonates right next to him. A guard charges through the smoke with a broadsword. Woo Hyun sweeps his legs out from under him. He vaults off a tree using the chain for momentum. He stomps the next guard into the dirt. The guard spits blood. He pins the final enemy to the ground. In the studio, Seong-cheol is baffled by the aggressive playstyle. Normal players use strategy and stealth to bypass the guards. Woo Hyun's perfect existence trait simply amplifies his physical stats. He relies entirely on his real-world combat instincts. Back in the game, an armed squad surrounds him. Team leader Kim Cheol steps forward, ordering him to drop his weapons. The massive bureau headquarters towers in the background. Woo Hyun recognizes the man. He was a ruthless survivor in the original game. Knowing a fight here is pointless, Woo Hyun surrenders peacefully. The team leader lowers his guard. Mission complete. He levels up. They escort him to the Otherworld Management Bureau headquarters, an organization that traps and exterminates invading monsters from twisted dimensions. He meets Agent Lee Yoo-jin, another face he remembers from his 10 years of hell. She offers him two choices: live as a civilian or train to become an agent. In the past, he hated the Bureau and survived as a rogue mercenary. But things are different this time. He chooses the agent path. Yoo-jin smiles, happy to have him on board. She whispers some advice about avoiding corporate contracts. She hands him a work phone and welcomes him to the team. In the studio, Soyul and Seong-cheol stare at their screens in pure shock. NPCs in Reverse Planet are not supposed to hold fluid conversations. The chat goes wild over the interaction. Seong-cheol realizes what they are witnessing. The developers hid a fully responsive AI system inside the game, and the only way to trigger it is to play from the beginning with zero assist. Woo Hyun just unlocked a secret storyline no one else in the world knows about. They decide to save the rest of the story mode for next time. The title card flashes for the next segment. Woo Hyun heads back to the combat prep room. He waits for a message from viewer 62, but his inbox is empty. He tells Soyul to start the PvP segment. He enters duel mode. To escape the unranked league, he needs 10 consecutive wins. The average time for a pro player to finish placements is 30 minutes. Round 1 starts in a quiet residential zone. Woo Hyun draws twin short swords. His opponent, a frost mage, assumes the melee fighter is an easy target. Woo Hyun closes the distance and caves his chest in before the spell finishes. Match over in seconds. The second opponent surrenders before the fight even begins. In Game 3, he shreds a Shadow Spear user. The man stares in shock as his weapon is bypassed. In Game 4, a martial artist tries to kick his head off. Woo Hyun catches his leg and breaks his posture. The victory screens stack up relentlessly. He hits bronze rank. The commentator is speechless. The placement took less than 10 minutes. The replay shows Woo Hyun dismantling every build without changing tactics once. Donations flood the stream from viewers begging for his build. Seong-cheol worries about stream snipers. Woo Hyun rips through another challenger in a cemetery. The opponent thinks he has the advantage. He charges a massive spell. Woo Hyun slices the fire mage without a second thought. The blade cuts clean through the magic barrier. He kicks the man in the chest. The impact sends the opponent flying into a wall. The mage cries out in pain. Woo Hyun is following Soyul's advice perfectly. Crush them so badly they lose the will to play. Another opponent begs for mercy on the ground. Woo Hyun raises his sword. He finishes him anyway. Round over, 30 consecutive wins. He hits gold rank on his first attempt. He agrees to share his skill tree with the community. Soyul announces the build reveal to the chat. She ends the broadcast on a high note. Seong-cheol wonders if Woo Hyun can break the all-time win streak record. The current record is held by the legendary pro gamer, Battler. A forum post reveals a player who tried to stream snipe him got permanently banned for hacking. The community mocks the banned player, and the real Battler is watching from his monitor, smiling at the challenge. A few days pass. The second stream begins. Woo Hyun waits in the forest. He logs back in for his first official bureau mission. He meets Yoo-jin outside an abandoned factory. The corporation's dumped a medium-scale anomaly on the bureau. The target is a massive swarm of insect-type entities. A guard salutes them at the entrance. Yoo-jin confirms her identity and steps inside. A swirling blue portal waits inside the warehouse. Choi Hyung-cheol, a corporate awakener, suddenly approaches them. He mocks Yoo-jin for taking on garbage cleanup missions. He offers Woo Hyun a job in the corporate sector, trying to poach him. Yoo-jin tells him to back off and stay in his lane. She warns Woo Hyun that Choi was her former trainee who betrayed the Bureau for money. They ignore him and step toward the portal. The blue energy ripples as they enter. The reversed world is a dark, sprawling forest. As soon as they enter, the portal vanishes. The ground begins to shake violently beneath their feet. Yujin draws her sword, sensing an immediate threat. A massive tremor collapses the dirt, separating the two of them. Giant spiders flood out of the shadows. Woo-hyun draws his dagger without a flinch. He cuts through the swarm, leaving a trail of dismembered insects. Yujin wanders the valley, realizing the scale of the anomaly is much larger than reported. Suddenly, a wall of flames erupts behind her. The blast sends her flying backward. Choi steps out of the burning brush, holding a flaming sword. He claims he is just following corporate orders. Yujin summons her energy and dodges his next swing. A boulder shatters behind her. She kicks a corporate soldier in the face and makes a run for it. Choi orders his men to chase her down. She casts a light spell to blind them. She escapes into the dense undergrowth. She dives into a centipede tunnel to hide. Meanwhile, Woo-hyun finishes clearing his side of the forest. He finds a set of heavy footprints in the mud. He knows something is wrong. He hears Yujin's voice echo in the distance. He sprints toward the noise. A giant centipede has Yujin in its jaws. Woo-hyun leaps into the air and severs the monster's head. The massive bug crashes to the ground. He catches Yujin before she falls. He examines her leg. He looks at the brutal burn marks on her skin. He knows an insect didn't do this. Choi followed them into the portal. In the studio, Song Cheol realizes the corporate ambush is happening way too early in the storyline. Woo-hyun tells Yujin to hide while he deals with the problem. She refuses, knowing Choi is a dangerous veteran. Woo-hyun assures her he has a plan. Choi's men track her blood trail to the riverbank. Choi unleashes a wave of fire into the brush, hoping to flush her out. A corporate guard suddenly screams. Woo-hyun drops the man to his knees. He plays dumb, claiming the tunnel collapsed by accident. Choi laughs, assuming the rookie is an easy kill. He swings his flaming sword straight at Woo-hyun's face. Woo-hyun ducks under the blade and grabs him by the throat. He presses a dagger against Choi's skin, a cold smile hidden beneath his mask. Choi breaks the grip, furious that a rookie humiliated him. The guards rush forward to save their boss. Choi orders them to chase Yujin while he handles the rookie. Woo-hyun throws a dagger to stop them. Choi tackles him to the ground. The guard tries to stop the bleeding. He gets stabbed through the chest by Woo-hyun's thrown sword. Choi realizes his man is dead. The remaining guard triggers his earth magic. Stone spikes erupt from the dirt. Woo-hyun shatters them with his chain scythe. The guard summons an earth wave, lifting the forest floor into the air. Woo-hyun sprints straight up the falling debris. He weaves through the massive falling rocks. The guard casts Rockhorn, sending a massive boulder at his head. Woo-hyun splits the boulder perfectly down the middle. The blade cuts clean through the solid stone. The guard panics and raises his hands. A rain of stone shards falls from the sky. Woo-hyun slides behind him. He drives both blades through the man's back. The viewers lose their minds at the flawless execution. A 3-on-1 ambush against a veteran squad, and Woo-hyun hasn't taken a single hit. He walks back to the bodies. He checks the guard's phone, orders to capture Yujin alive, or eliminate her if necessary. He also loots a new weapon, the sharp dagger of return, and the recluse's necklace, allowing him to store items in a shadow inventory. He grips the red dagger, ready to test its effects. He recalls his scattered swords from the battlefield. He turns his attention back to the forest, determined to finish the job. A massive shadow swallows the forest floor, the Emperor Scorpion boss entity. Yujin curses her terrible luck, panting through the pain of her injuries. The creature raises its colossal pincer, ready to crush her into the dirt. She gathers golden energy in her battered hand, preparing to cast a desperate defensive spell. The earth shatters as the strike connects. Dust and debris explode outward, but the impact misses her by inches. The giant scorpion is pinned under an overwhelming force. Woo-hyun sits perched on his chained sword like it is a throne, completely unbothered by the monster beneath him. Yujin stares through the smoke, her voice trembling. She looks up at the rookie in absolute disbelief. The chat loses its mind, realizing he cleared the entire zone and reached the boss alone. The sky above them splinters like broken glass. The reverse world is closing. Woo-hyun drops to the ground, his chain scythe returning to his hand. He scoops Yujin up onto his back without asking for permission. She wraps her arms around his neck as he prepares to run. They dive through the swirling blue portal just as the dimension tears itself apart. The system floods his vision with level-up notifications. The sun sets over the Dimensional Management Bureau headquarters. Inside the interrogation room, team leader Kim Chul demands a report on the corporate ambush. Woo-hyun sits across from him, his face giving nothing away. Chul asks what happened to the veteran hunters who trapped them in the anomaly. A memory flashes of Woo-hyun standing over their scattered corpses. He admits he killed every single one of them. He slides a cracked smartphone across the table, offering it as proof of their assassination orders. Chul tells him to go home and rest while the Bureau handles the investigation. Woo-hyun turns his back, a dark aura radiating from his shoulders. Chul warns warns him to wait before taking any more matters into his own hands. The team leader promises that an opportunity for revenge will come. The first field mission officially concludes. Another level up and an ability point drop into his account. The system prompts him to select his second core ability element. A few days later, the reality broadcast is back online. Soyul is practically vibrating with excitement over his performance. Her tablet lights up with a massive notification. Anonymous viewer, 62, just dropped another 3 million won into the stream. Woo Yun freezes. The phantom from his nightmare is watching. A new special mission objective locks into his interface. The mysterious benefactor greets him through the donation text. The message asks him how it feels to be back in the real world. The phantom announces a new challenge tailored just for him. The final message promises that the viewer will be monitoring every single broadcast from now on. Woo Yun stares at the screen, his mind racing through 10 years of bloody memories. Soil whispers off camera, urging him to push through the scheduled content. Seong Cheol notices her whispering, but cannot read the private donation log. She brushes it off, forcing a smile to keep the stream moving. She hypes up the audience, asking if they are ready to ride the momentum into the PvP segment. Seong Cheol reminds the chat about the legendary win streak set by a pro player in duel mode. But today, they are switching gears. They select Brawl. The interface displays the modes. Domination and Escort, Conquest and Annihilation round out the options. Fixed 5 versus 5 team battles. Best 2 out of 3 takes the crown. The chat complains, wanting to see him break the solo duel record instead. They accuse the producers of dodging the solo challenge out of fear. Soil winks at the camera. She knows they are about to witness a massacre. Match found. The first round is Escort mode. Seong Cheol breaks down the rules for the viewers. The attack team must push the payload to the goal while the defense team tries to stop them. The massive truck rumbles forward. The attack team rallies behind it. Woo Hyun breaks formation, sprinting away from the payload entirely. Seong Cheol is baffled by the aggressive solo push. Woo Hyun moves through the shadows, plotting a backdoor assault. Taking on 5 coordinated defenders alone is a guaranteed death sentence for a normal player. The minimap shows him dropping straight into the enemy backline. The defenders look up, spotting the dark figure descending from the sky. He draws his dagger in midair, his eyes glowing gold. He falls like a meteor. He drives the blade into a defender's skull before his boots even hit the pavement. The defense team screams in panic, their formation shattered in an instant. He whips his chain scythe around, obliterating a second player in a shower of red pixels. 2 down in 3 seconds. The rest of the team scrambles to draw their weapons. A blue-haired swordsman steps up, desperate to hold the line while his team retreats. The kill feed spams Woo Yun's name faster than the system can announce it. The blue attack team wins banner overtakes the screen. The attackers stare at their interface in disbelief. They never even saw the enemy. The chat mocks the defenders for getting wiped by a single entry league player. Soil expected to carry, but the sheer speed of the slaughter leaves her speechless. Seong Cheol wonders if the rookie is in a hurry to be somewhere else. Round 2. Annihilation mode. Woo Hyun punches a man with enough force to shatter his jaw. The impact drops 3 players at once, their bodies bouncing off the concrete. Domination mode. A massive explosion rocks the facility. The defenders try to block him with a wall of fire and stone spikes. He swings his chain scythe, shattering their magic barriers into useless fragments. He closes the distance on a fleeing mage, his boots crushing the pavement. His golden eye pierces through the smoke, locking onto his next victim. Conquest mode secured. He plants the blue flag amidst a graveyard of broken players. Viewer 62 dumps another 3 million won into the stream. Soil goes crazy over the massive influx of cash. The mission completion triggers a new system unlock. Woo Hyun stares at the floating blue text. The Phantom just unlocked a hidden system feature in Reverse Planet. He realizes he has no choice but to keep playing to see what this ghost wants. He lets out a heavy breath, resigning himself to the game. He will follow the breadcrumbs until he finds the man pulling the strings. A few days later, the Bureau Combat Training Grounds. Yujin sends a message. Her injuries mean she cannot supervise his physical training today. Seong Cheol speculates on the substitute, assuming they will assign a famous veteran. Yujin waves him over from the edge of the mat. Her arms are still wrapped in thick bandages, but she claims she is feeling much better. She points out the substitute arriving behind them. Heavy footsteps echo across the training hall. A black boot steps onto the green mat. Enter Kim Hana, short red hair, black tactical bodysuit, and a sword strapped to her hip. She introduces herself with a sharp, appraising smile. Woo Yun remembers her. In his past life, she was a terrifying enemy who nearly killed him. Hana brags about sneaking out of her official duties just to meet the famous rookie. She readies a wooden practice sword, her posture shifting from casual to lethal. She faces Woo Yun, waiting for him to take a weapon. She asks if his style relies on long swords or daggers. He tells her he uses both. She proposes a light sparring match to test his foundation. Seong Cheol looks confused by the interaction. He tells Soyul this development feels entirely off script. Hana and Woo Hyun face off in the center of the ring. Seong Cheol points out that the game should not assume every player uses a sword. Soyul realizes the fully adaptive AI is kicking in, building a unique storyline around his specific specific build. Woo-hyun takes a low stance, gripping the wooden hilt tight. Hae-na confirms that the story will unfold differently depending on the player's choices. Woo-hyun understands. The game is reacting to him just like reality. Hae-na smirks, her eyes flashing with competitive hunger. Woo-hyun tightens his grip. His survival instincts flare. Hana lowers her center of gravity, ready to strike. He realizes his choices here will shape his future within the bureau. She tightens her hold on the wooden blade. She suggests sparring without using supernatural abilities, relying only on raw swordsmanship. Woo-hyun points out her body enhancement trait is passive and already surging through her muscles. She smiles, impressed that he noticed her subtle energy flow. She lunges forward, a trail of green wind magic following her strike. Her eyes lock onto his neck. He brings his sword up, blocking the heavy downward blow. He slides backward across the mat, absorbing the brutal impact. She flips backward, creating distance before her next assault. She launches a barrage of high-speed thrusts, a tornado of green energy surrounding them. Seong Cheol notes that Woo-hyun is matching her unnatural pace, strike for strike, as she does not just swing fast. She targets his blind spots with surgical precision. Hana decides to stop playing around and channels her full strength into the blade. She brings the sword down in a devastating overhead arc aimed straight for his head. A massive green shockwave erupts, cratering the training mat. She spins out of the dust cloud, bringing her blade to a halt inches from his chest. She complements his reflexes. He slipped the lethal strike by a hair. Woo-hyun bows his head. In real combat, his win rate against her would be less than 20%. She asks who taught him to fight like a seasoned killer. He claims he is self-taught. She is genuinely impressed by the lie. The sparring mission completes, and he levels up 3 times in a row. She leads him down to the Bureau's underground armory. Support team leader Kim Hyun-woo greets them at the heavy oak doors. Hae-na explains that Woo-hyun needs a weapon with real abilities, not standard-issue junk. Hyun-woo tells him to take his time and choose comfortably. Woo-hyun walks past the racks of polished steel. He finds the selection lacking. Nothing here matches the weight of his past life. He checks a vampiric spear, a decent mid-tier weapon that drains health. Then he spots something else in the shadows. A massive black sword resting on a velvet table. Soul Eater, the Spirit Annihilation Sword. A blade that grows stronger with every kill. He grabs the hilt. This weapon belongs in the black market, not the Bureau armory. It was his signature blade during the 10-year death game. Finding it here feels like destiny. Hana notes his choice. Your two-handed greatsword is a heavy commitment. Hyun-woo transfers the ownership, looking confused by the selection. Soil stares at her screen in absolute shock. 5 option weapons are supposed to be locked behind late-game raids. The chat questions how a god-tier weapon spawned in the tutorial armory. A donation praises his endgame loot luck. Seong Cheol notes that he also acquired the Hermit's necklace way ahead of the usual story progression. The chat connects the dots. He unlocked the hidden story path. Reverse Planet operates on clear risk-return calculations. The harder the challenge, the greater the reward. He earned the sequence break by slaughtering the hunting dogs in Mission 1. A montage of his brutal, bare-handed kills proves he earned the system's respect. He perfectly completed the research center escape and the sparring match with a veteran agent. Soil agrees that the god-tier reward makes perfect sense now. Woo-hyun holds Soul Eater, the black steel humming with dark energy. Hana suggests they test its cutting power on a real extermination mission. They arrive at Bukansan Mountain. The air is thick with mist. His boots touch the dirt, ready for blood. A swirling blue portal waits near the summit. Hana pulls up the data log. A pack of low-grade wolf beasts controls this territory. She plans to watch and will only intervene if the rookie gets overwhelmed. Woo-hyun summons Soul Eater from his shadow storage. The forest goes dead silent. Claws dig into the dirt as the pack surrounds them. Woo-hyun senses their approach before they break the tree line. What? A pack of purple wolves erupts from the brush, teeth bared. They leap toward him, aiming for his throat. He decides to test the blade with full power. He swings the greatsword in a wide, devastating arc. The heavy steel carves through the pack in a single motion. A flash of white light blinds the clearing. Soul Eater's cutting power increases. The chat loves the feedback loop. Seong Cheol praises his control over the massive, unwieldy weapon. Woo-hyun feels the familiar weight. It balances perfectly in his grip. Hae-na smiles, watching him dismantle the beasts with ease. She recognizes his footwork. It looks exactly like her heavenly moon slash technique. The blade bursts with red flames as it drinks the blood of the fallen wolves. Hae-na watches closely, analyzing his every movement. He stands over the corpses, his breath steady. Lightning arcs through the brush. Elite monsters are spawning. Soil is amazed at the blistering pace of his clear speed. A pair of massive wolves charged with purple electricity rush him. He meets their charge with a heavy downward strike. The impact sends sparks flying across the dirt. Seong Cheol wonders where a self-taught player learns such refined martial arts. Electric sparks dance across the grass. Woo-hyun carves through the elite wolves, purple blood spraying across his coat. He steps forward, now his boots heavy against the earth. He slashes through another massive beast, bisecting it in midair. His grip tightens on the hilt. The muscle memory is flawless. The blade cuts deep, the red aura flaring brighter with every kill. Another flash of black steel. Hana nods. The rookie is excellent. System notifications spam his screen as the blade devours devours soul after soul. A massive roar shakes the trees, sending leaves raining down. Woo Hyun shifts into a defensive stance, raising the great sword. The massive jaws of the boss monster snap at him from the shadows. The silver wolf boss drops into the clearing. The sheer force of its landing bends the trees backward. He blocks the bite with the flat of his blade, the force pushing him across the dirt. He grunts, digging his heels in as the beast tries to crush him. He pushes the wolf back and leaps into the air. He knows this beast is much stronger than a standard elite. The wolf's glowing yellow eyes track his movement. He brings the sword straight down, driving it through the monster's skull and devouring its soul. The blade drips with fresh blood, its cutting power maxing out. The giant wolf collapses into ash and smoke. Haena approaches. She admits the boss was much stronger than its initial rating. Soil is confused. The zone was listed as F-rank difficulty. The creature they just fought hit like a B-rank boss. Seong Cheol realizes the measurement criteria are dynamic. The game is scaling the difficulty to match Woo Hyun's unnatural skill level. He created his own hell mode. The reverse world is not closing. The anomaly is still active despite the boss's death. Hana draws her sword. Yet they need to find the real anchor keeping the portal open. They push deeper into the misty woods. A rustling sound draws their attention to a pile of roots. A smooth white egg rests in a makeshift nest. The shell splinters. They take defensive stances, expecting another monster to hatch. A tiny, fat, gray wolf pup pops its head out and yips. The chat is completely lost. Reverse Planet does not have a pet system. Hana lowers her blade. The creature shows zero hostility toward humans. The pup waddles over and rubs against his boot. She asks if they should execute it according to protocol. He picks it up by the scruff of its neck. They will take it back to the lab for analysis instead. With the anchor removed, the dimension finally begins to collapse. A blinding flash of light swallows the forest. Bureau headquarters. Whilst a lab technician examines the sleeping pup on a steel table, he confirms it is not an otherworld life form, but a summon created by an unknown ability. It originated from the reverse world, an impossible glitch in the system. The pup wakes up and rubs against Woo Hyun's hand. It is already imprinted on him. The system registers the lightning wolf as his personal pet. Red warning text blares across his vision. Emergency server maintenance in 5 minutes. Woo Hyun stares at the alert, his grip tightening. Soil panics. This update was not on the schedule. Seong Cheol realizes the timing is too perfect. The developers are reacting to the pup in real time. The chat agrees. The devs are panic patching the game because of his sequence break. Soil suspects the two events are directly connected. The chat compares this panic patch to the fully adaptive AI incident. They end the broadcast early, telling the viewers to log out before the servers crash. The offline screen pops up. A hand clicks a remote, turning off the broadcast monitor. USA, Planet Earth headquarters. The atmosphere in the conference room is toxic. Sophia, the development team leader, rubs her temples. An update bypassed their entire security grid. She knows only one person possesses the clearance and the skill to do this. Isaac, the former genius developer who vanished, leaving his own team in the dark. They demand answers from Deus, but the god-tier AI remains unresponsive. Deus stopped functioning the day Isaac disappeared. Sophia orders her team to scrub the servers for any updated data Isaac might have hidden. She slams her hands on the table, all demanding they find him. They put Haxicle's account on a special watch list. They know his stream is the trigger. Sophia vows not to let Isaac's hidden agenda tear her game apart. Cascades of blue code rain down the monitors as the system rewrites itself. A hand reaches out in the digital space, manipulating the architecture. Viewer 62 donates 5 million won, the reward for completing the special mission. The message is ominous. You will need a trustworthy companion for the next trial. A few days later, a quiet cafe in Seoul. Soil chatters happily while Woo Hyun checks his phone, lost in thought. He suspects Viewer 62 is a rogue developer manipulating his quests to fix bugs in the system. Soil sips her iced coffee, oblivious to his internal plotting. She brings up a new opportunity. She received a coaching offer for a massive event, the SSR Cup, the biggest domestic PvP tournament for Reverse Planet. She explains that Woo Hyun is the talk of the town, and the organizers want his name attached. They want him to enter as a coach, not a player, to train a rising star. He asks if coaching means he will be raising a disciple. She nods, eating a strawberry. He remembers the Phantom's message. He needs a reliable ally. This is the perfect excuse to find one. He stands up abruptly. He accepts the job. Soil pumps her fist, thrilled that he agreed. She hurriedly shoves cake in her mouth to send the acceptance email before he changes his mind. Woo Hyun ponders the parameters of finding an ally who can survive his methods. A few days later, the Hack Tourism stream goes live. Soil and Seong Cheol welcome the massive audience. Soil drops the major announcement immediately. Haxicle Guy is joining the SSR Cup as an official coach. The chat debates the decision, wondering why a solo god would bother teaching instead of competing. Soil pivots the stream, announcing they will focus on climbing the ranked ladder today to build his reputation. Woo Hyun stretches his legs. A high rank will attract better disciple candidates. The chat notes he is already gold tier in almost every mode. Seong Cheol corrects them. He is still unranked in survival mode. A special mission drops. Win a ranked survival match with 40 kills. Condition, no weapons. Reward, 3 million won. The chat thinks the anonymous donor is actually insane. 40 kills barehanded is impossible. Woo Hyun reads the god tier mission parameters. The viewers prepare for his first mission failure. He cracks his knuckles and accepts the terms. He drops into the PvP queue. Ranked solo survival match found. He spawns into Zone 1, military base, unarmed. He scans the ruined buildings, calculating his route. Thermal vision pings 19 players in his immediate vicinity. He leaps from a catwalk, bypassing the stairs to save time. He punches the ground, causing a massive shockwave that obliterates the closest players. And Soyeol and Seong Cheol recoil from their screens as the base rattles the studio. The kill feed lights up with a cascade of eliminated players. His boots hit the pavement, sliding back from the force of his own landing. He shakes the pixelated blood off his hand. 18 kills secured in the first minute. He clears the outskirts and heads toward the center of the map. Soyeol stares blankly, wondering if she should just quit gaming entirely. Deep in a warehouse, a hooded player sits alone. The survivor count drops to 2. Woo Hyun brings his heel down in a devastating axe kick aimed at the man's head. The hooded player slides backward, narrowly dodging the lethal blow that shatters the concrete. The survivor stabilizes his stance, avoiding the debris. He raises his fists in a tight professional guard. Woo Hyun advances. This player is using a physical enhancement build. Finally, a real fight. Seong Cheol notes the hooded player's impressive kill log. He is sitting at 15 kills, proving he is not just another random noob. The chat respects the 15 kill count, knowing it takes serious skill to survive this long. Woo Hyun rushes forward, throwing a heavy punch. The player blocks it, the impact ringing through the warehouse. He strikes back, forcing Woo Hyun to shift his weight. Woo Hyun closes the distance again, moving like a shadow. He clenches his fist, reading the opponent's rhythm. He delivers a punishing strike. The commentators watch in awe as the two players trade blows like trained martial artists. The chat debates the hooded player's identity, wondering if he is a pro's alternate account. The impacts echo like thunder. Yet Woo Hyun lands a brutal kick to the man's chest. He decides to wrap up the demonstration. He throws the man into the wall, the entire structure buckling under the force. The hooded player sits in the rubble, coughing up blood. His unfamiliar build wasn't enough to secure the win. He promises a proper match next time and accepts his elimination. Game over. Rank 1. 40 kills achieved. Seong Cheol loses his mind. He hit the cursed 40 kill mark barehanded. Viewer Day US donates the promised 3 million won. Soyeol screams her thanks to the anonymous donor. The chat begs for a cut of the massive payout to buy ice cream. Another viewer offers to be rude just for a hamburger. Soyeol ignores them, telling Woo Hyun to ride the momentum and keep pushing his rank. He racks up 98 straight wins that day, hitting master tier in every mode. The reverse time community forums explode with news about the disciple audition. Pro gaming streamer Jung Da-eun lies on his couch, checking the announcement. His twin sister, Ah Reum, reads the same post. He applied for both of them without asking. US HQ, Sophia's office. She reads a report detailing Haxicle's record-breaking survival run. She zeroes in on the donor's name, DUS, Deus, the missing AI. A few days later, 5 minutes before the hack tourism stream begins, the lightning wolf pup stares up at him, tail wagging. Level 1. Woo Hyun checks its skills, bite, howl, and tumbling. It is completely useless in combat. Soyeol reminds him to review the massive list of disciple applicants after the PvE segment. Seong Cheol gives the signal. The stream is starting. Woo Hyun prepares to send the pup back to shadow storage. It yips, tilting its head in confusion. He stares at it for a second, a flicker of humanity breaking through his cold exterior. Episode 16. Large-scale outbreak. Woo Hyun logs in, his interface booting up. A blaring emergency alert vibrates through his device. A massive reverse world rampage has triggered across Seoul. All agents are ordered to deploy. The rampages are happening simultaneously in Incheon and Busan as well. Soyeol realizes this is a server-wide event. The sky burns red as dimensional invaders pour out of floating portals above the city. A system prompt explains the lore. The other world is bombarding Earth, causing invader creatures to spill over. The mission updates. Eliminate the invaders and contain the large-scale rampage. Woo Hyun regroups with Hana at the stadium rendezvous point. Yet the chat jokes that their senior-junior dynamic feels completely reversed. She tells him she secured a vehicle to reach the hot zone. She gives him a confident thumbs up. They are ready for war. They arrive at Bukhansan National Park. The trail is slick with blood and bodies. A dead goblin lies in the dirt. Other agents arrive first, but the stragglers are hunting civilians. Hana suggests they split up to cover more ground. Woo Hyun agrees, darting off into the thick brush. A terrified civilian sprints down the dirt path. 2 goblins chase her, spears raised for the kill. The chain scythe cuts through the air. The heavy blade buries itself deep into the lead goblin's skull. Woo Hyun yanks the chain, ripping the monster backward and shattering its spine. He steps between the civilian and the remaining monster. The second goblin leaps at him, teeth bared. He swings the scythe in a clean arc, bisecting the creature before it lands. The civilian stares at her savior, trembling in shock. He points her down the safe path and turns back to hunt the rest of the pack. A massive crimson arm swings out from the trees, aiming to crush him. He blocks the heavy strike with the shaft of his scythe, the impact cratering the dirt beneath him. He slides backward, creating distance to assess the new threat. His golden eyes lock onto the shadows. A horned demon steps out of the brush, gripping a primitive club. It charges him, moving with terrifying speed. The chat notices Woo Hyun is only defending, refusing to throw a counterattack. Seong Cheol observes that he seems to be analyzing the monster's movements instead of fighting it. Woo Hyun blocks a relentless flurry of strikes, letting the beast reveal its patterns. The demon throws a heavy punch. He deflects it with an open palm, redirecting the force into the dirt. He recognizes the flow of the attacks. It feels entirely too familiar. He stares into the demon's eyes. Come out. The system identifies it as a dimensional invader, a demon that mimics human appearance and behavior. Seong Cheol notes that invaders usually only appear much later in the game's storyline. Woo Hyun watches it, waiting for its next move. The demon drops its weapon and takes a refined, hand-to-hand martial arts stance. Woo Hyun decides to play along and raises his fists. He throws a high kick. The demon meets it with a block, their limbs clashing like iron. Woo Hyun grunts as the demon pushes back with incredible force. It throws a devastating hook aimed at his temple. He slips under the punch, the air cracking beside his ear. Seong Cheol realizes the demon's combat flow perfectly matches the hooded player from the PvP match. Soil struggles to see the connection. Woo Hyun knows exactly what is happening. The invader is mimicking his PvP opponent. They trade high kicks, shin meeting shin with explosive force. He realizes the developers created a custom entity modeled directly after the player who fought him. He blocks a massive downward blow with an open palm. He grabs the demon by the face, digging his fingers in. He drives its spine first into the dirt. It's clumsy. He pins the monster down, rendering its copied martial arts completely useless. The chat cheers as the invader gets absolutely wrecked. He raises a blood-soaked fist. He pummels the mimic, wondering who pulled this exact stunt to test him. He suspects either the corporate alliance or the hidden mastermind behind the invaders. He realizes the key detail. It mimicked his PvP data, not his PvE data. He sits on the corpse, wiping the purple blood from his knuckles. The AI face flashes across his mind. Viewer 62. It has to be him again. Hannah calls out to him from the edge of the clearing. She asks if he finished securing his side. He confirms the kill. The chat jokes that the senior agent is late to the party. She spots the massive corpse behind him. She is shocked to see an invader boss entity this early in the invasion. She radios the cleanup crew to secure the body for immediate research. She compliments his work. He handled a severe threat without taking a scratch. She reports that the situation has calmed down in the other zones as well. The large-scale outbreak mission completes successfully. He levels up, earning another ability point. Back at headquarters, Kim Chul calls Woo Hyun into the lab. Chul stands over the purple corpse. It is practically a new species, completely different from previous invaders. He asks Woo Hyun to recount the encounter, looking for anything unusual. Chul is visibly horrified when Woo Hyun explains that the monster tried to mimic him. The chat wonders why the team leader is taking a simple mimic mechanic so seriously. Seong Cheol notes that an invader mimicking human behavior has massive lore implications. The viewers speculate this is the start of a major new storyline. Chul explains that invaders have never impersonated humans before. If they change their strategy to infiltration, Earth is doomed. Woo Hyun agrees. They will throw society into chaos and launch a full-scale invasion from within. They suspect the corrupt corporate alliance would gladly side with the invaders if there is a profit to be made. Chul's expression hardens. The stakes just raised significantly. He thanks Woo Hyun for dodging a major crisis and promises to investigate further. He slides a small velvet box across the table. He tells him he is more than qualified to have this now. Woo Hyun steps out into the hallway, holding the box. Yujin waves at him, her bandages completely gone. Haina stands beside her. The chat loves seeing the two top agents together, noting they rarely smile in the normal storyline. He walks up to them, presenting the box. He opens it. The official agent badge rests on red velvet. It is a tradition for a senior to pin the badge on a newly promoted agent. Yujin does the honors. She congratulates him on becoming an official agent. He thanks her. He now possesses a very dangerous privilege, independent operation authority. He can take any mission without jumping through bureau hoops. Hana complains that she missed doing missions with him while she was injured. Yujin yells at her to stop being dramatic. Yujin reminds him that having independent authority does not mean he has to work alone. He can call them anytime. Soil smiles and cuts the broadcast signal. The chat complains, begging for more content. Seong Cheol steps in, announcing a major event to hold them over. He directs them to the community board. The disciple training audition teaser is live. The comments section is a war zone of streamers begging for a slot. Soil announces the official name of the audition, Superstar N. The chat ruthlessly mocks her terrible naming sense. She ignores them, declaring that the selection process for Haxicle's disciple is entering its final stage. Soil points right at the camera, throwing out her practiced influencer smile. The production value skyrocketed overnight. This is the main stage for Superstar N. The crowd murmurs as the contestants line line up. Even veteran rankers like Sword Holic and rookies like Sharia showed up for a chance to learn from a ghost. The chat zeroes in on a familiar face in the lineup, Blue Whale, a notorious drama bait streamer known for stirring up absolute chaos. The other contestants side-eye him, wondering if he is just here to farm content. Soyul and Seong Cheol take the center stage to officially open the broadcast. The outdoor arena stretches out, designed to hold the massive influx of viewers. The contestants wait in tense silence. Soyul calls the man of the hour to step forward. Woo Hyun walks out of the digital tunnel in a tailored black suit. Yet the contestants stare. He still wears the privacy mask. He refuses to give the internet his face. He stands before the nervous crowd of applicants, radiating a suffocating presence. He warns them. Disobeying his instructions means immediate expulsion. A tiny girl in the front row trembles at the strict terms, but the reward is worth it. Survival guarantees a path straight to master tier. Seong Cheol laughs nervously, wondering if the rookie can actually back up that kind of promise. Woo Hyun descends the stairs, ready to thin the herd immediately. A 12 versus 1 handicap match, 10 minutes on the clock. He drags the tip of his dress shoe through the dirt. He draws a tight circle. He promises not to step out of it, and he refuses to attack first. The contestants raise their hands, asking if teaming up is allowed. His golden eye flares behind the mask. He tells them to bring everything they have. He waits in the center, an immovable target. They get the green light to unleash their full arsenals. His gaze locks onto the 12 approaching threats. Blue Whale leads the charge, eager to secure a viral clip for his channel. A massive pillar of fire erupts from a pyromancer in the backline. Woo Hyun does not flinch. The flames reflect in his mask. The explosion engulfs his position entirely. The smoke clears. He hasn't moved a single inch. The melee fighters rush him from all sides. His eyes track the chaotic footwork of every single attacker. He casually sidesteps, sending 2 fighters sprawling into the dust. The coordination is a miserable failure. They keep getting in each other's way. He pins an attacker's foot to the ground, mere breaking his balance in an instant. The twins sprint forward, confident in their twin strike synergy. Woo Hyun slips their coordinated attack without breaking a sweat. He deflects a sword strike with the back of his hand. He catches the next attacker mid-air. He uses the man's own momentum to hurl him across the battlefield. He watches the rest of the squad collapse into a disorganized pile. 12 players folded in the dirt. His shoe never left the circle. He looks down at the defeated group. The skill gap is undeniable. He tells them he has proven his combat strength. Now he has to prove his coaching ability. Soyul claps her hands, kicking off the real audition. The first mission is raw ability control. No system assist allowed. A 150-kilogram barbell drops into the arena. The objective is to hold it for 3 minutes. Song Cheol explains that physical enhancement builds have a massive advantage here. He shows an embarrassing photo of himself struggling with the same weight. Soyul reminds the contestants to set their interfaces to stealth mode to prevent stream sniping. The twins ask a question in perfect synchronization. Soyul drops the stakes. The bottom 4 scorers will face immediate elimination. The crowd reacts to the harsh penalty. She sets the timer for the 30-minute practice window. Everyone grabs a barbell, their muscles straining under the simulated gravity. Seong Cheol and Woo Yun scan the field, evaluating the struggling candidates. Soyul panics as the chat points out the inherent bias against long-range magic users. The ranged players practice precision targeting on wooden dummies instead. Soyul asks for the first volunteer to take the official test. Sword Holic and the twins step up to the plate. They grip the iron bars, preparing for the unassisted lift. They hoist the 150-kilogram weights into the air. The twins tremble, feeling every ounce of pressure tearing at their joints. 2 minutes pass. The strain shows on Sword Holic's face. He loses his grip. The heavy plates crash to the floor. Soyul calls his elimination at the 2-minute mark. The twins hold out, clearing the 3 minutes with a triumphant shout. They celebrate their guaranteed pass. Blue Whale steps up next, demanding the timer start. He lifts the massive weight with suspicious ease. He looks at the remaining spots, calculating his odds. Another player clears the test on the opposite side. Blue Whale struts back, acting like the weight was made of foam. He waves to the camera, soaking in the virtual applause. Woo Hyun walks down the steps, his gaze locked on the drama streamer. He grabs a practice barbell off the rack. Blue Whale smirks, convinced he just secured his spot in the finals. Woo Hyun stares at him in dead silence. He steps into the man's path, blocking him from the passer's side. He asks Blue Whale what exactly he thinks he is doing. He exposes the fraud. Blue Whale left his combat assist turned on. Woo Hyun's voice drops to a cold whisper. The streamer stammers, sweat forming on his brow. Woo Hyun points out the mechanical stiffness in his lifting posture. A real zero assist lift requires constant micro adjustments. Blue Whale's body remained locked in a static system animation. The brawler grits his teeth, trying to deny the accusation. Woo Hyun demands he turn off stealth mode and show his settings to the crowd. Blue Whale panics, realizing his entire career is about to burn down live on stream. Woo Hyun refuses to let him walk away with a simple apology. The streamer slams his fist against his interface, faking compliance. He plays dumb, claiming the menu is lagging. His face contorts in rage as the chat rips him to pieces. Unable to handle the public execution, Blue Whale forcibly logs out of the server. Seong Cheol clears his throat, smoothing over the awkward departure. Sharia raises her hand, eager to wash the bad taste away with a clean attempt. The individual tests conclude. The team battles are up next. Team A is stacked with high scores. Team B gets the melee fighters and one ranged user. Soil grins, hyping up the next phase. Etnel execution bots will spawn in the clearing every single minute. The team with the highest kill count in 10 minutes wins the round. The mechanical dolls materialize in rings of blue light. Team A sets the benchmark with 10 flawless kills. Their long-range builds allow them to snipe the bots before the machines can close the gap. Team B struggles. The melee fighters get swarmed the moment a bot drops its guard. Sharia suggests begging Woo Hyun for an emergency coaching session. The team agrees, desperate for any kind of turnaround. Soyul and Seong Cheol step in, offering to coach Team A to keep the event fair. Woo Hyun accepts the challenge. Team B huddles up and ready to absorb the wisdom of the highest-ranked player in the game. Woo Hyun breaks down the Etnel logic. These machines do not fear pain. If a bot calculates it can trade damage favorably, it abandons defense entirely to strike. He tells them to exploit that exact threshold. He challenges Swordholic to a mock battle to prove the concept. He assumes the rigid mechanical stance of an Etnel unit. The veteran swordsman tightens his grip, feeling a genuine threat from the posture alone. He charges, thrusting his practice sword. Woo Hyun catches the blade with his bare hand, ignoring the simulated damage. He uses the opening to sweep the man's legs out. Swordholic hits the dirt hard. The twins watch, mapping out a new strategy based on the counter. They rush in, splitting left and right to divide his attention. Sharia hesitates, terrified of hitting her own teammates with a stray spell. Woo Hyun punishes their lack of coordination, striking both twins down in a blur of motion. The mock battle ends with Team B scattered across the ground. He turns to Sharia. She is the linchpin. He tells her she cannot hesitate. When the window opens, she must cast with absolute conviction. The practice ends. The real match begins. The Etnel bots spawn, locking onto Team B's positions. A bot throws a heavy right hook. Areum dodges, baiting the mechanical overextension perfectly. Sharia fires a freezing blast, locking the machine's joints in place. Swordholic capitalizes, driving his blade through the frozen chassis. She calls out her targets, dropping ice spikes to control the battlefield geometry. The frozen shards pin the next machine to the dirt. She promises to cover their backs and demands they keep pushing the assault. Seong Cheol watches in awe. The chaotic squad just morphed into a coordinated strike team. The final bot shatters under a heavy hammer strike. The clock stops. Team B eliminated 14 targets. The underdog squad erupts in celebration. They beat Team A's score of 12. Team A stands in stunned silence. Swordholic rubs his chin. A 30-minute coaching session completely rewrote their combat potential. Woo Hyun nods, his job here complete. Later that day, Soil finishes her workout in the real world. She checks her phone. The Disciple Stream highlights are dominating the reverse time community. She wipes the sweat from her face, wondering what Woo Hyun is planning next. Back in the bureau, support agent Young Ji-hoon approaches Woo Hyun. Woo Hyun declares his intent to run an independent solo subjugation. Yoo-jin smiles, wishing him luck on the hunt. She whispers a quiet warning to check his secure messages before deploying. He pulls up his phone in the empty corridor. She confirms the corporate hounds from the Forest Anomaly are preparing to move. They know Woo Hyun is a threat. They won't act carelessly this time. Yoo-jin reveals the bureau planted a mole inside the corporation. Jung Ji-hoon steps up, confirming his identity as the deep cover contact. He fed the corporation a fake location, ensuring the ambush happens on Woo Hyun's terms. Woo Hyun steps out into Sangam Park under the cover of night. The blue dimensional portal pulses in the dead quiet. 6 corporate guards drop from the canopy, weapons drawn. He draws his twin swords, a red aura flaring around the steel. A guard rushes him, throwing a heavy punch. He sidesteps, bringing his blades up to a defensive guard. The squad leader, Wonjong Cheol, steps into the moonlight with a twisted grin. He calls Woo Hyun Subject 48, a title dragged straight from the 10-year nightmare. He demands Woo Hyun return to the lab. He promises they will develop his abilities through proper experimentation. Woo Hyun's golden eye flares. The ghosts in his head demand blood. He tightens his grip on the hilt and tells them to stop talking. The squad leader orders the attack. Black energy ripples across the grass, and Woo Hyun intercepts a heavy downward strike, holding the line. Sparks explode as steel grinds against steel. He parries a secondary thrust from the flank. Jong Cheol screams at his men to keep pressing the advantage. A wind user and a pyromancer combine their magic into a massive vortex. The elemental blast tears through the clearing. The smoke settles. Woo Hyun stands untouched in the crater. Soil watches the private feed, noting that standard awakeners stand zero chance against him. Jong Cheol realizes his men are severely outmatched. He orders them to consume the TL-01 capsules. The guards pull small purple pills from their vests. The mutation is instantaneous. Their muscles tear through their uniforms. Purple energy bleeds from their eyes as they roar. Soil gasps. They look exactly like the dimensional invaders. The mutated hounds rush forward with terrifying speed. Black lightning arcs from their bodies. A massive energy blast blast craters the ground where Wu Hyun stood a second ago. He assesses the threat. Their raw power spiked, but their sanity is gone. He dodges a heavy flame jet. He sweeps his spear, pushing back a mutated guard. The chat goes wild, wondering how a single drug could alter the game's mechanics this drastically. A wind blade forces him to step back. He dodges another strike, calculating his next move. The hounds box him in, cutting off his escape routes. He sighs, dropping the heavy spear. The physical build is too slow for this. It is time to change the rules. He steps forward, his boots heavy on the cracked earth. He equips the jagged silver mask over his face. He recognizes their mindless aggression. They are nothing more than biological puppets now. A mutated guard unleashes another towering pillar of fire. Wu Hyun slices his hand through the air. A telekinetic blade cleaves the fire in half. He gestures again, ripping massive chunks of earth from the ground to crush the attackers. The heavy stone slams into a guard, breaking his ribs. The squad leader channels all his mutated energy into a shock cannon. A massive vortex of green lightning spirals toward Wu Hyun. The leader coughs, blood dripping from his mouth. A clean cut severs his arm before the blast even finishes casting. The man crashes to the ground, screaming in agony. Wu Hyun pins him down, a dark blade resting against his throat. The drug tears through the leader's internal organs. He dies before offering a single word of explanation. Wu Hyun steps away from the corpse, all scanning the ruined clearing. He checks their pockets. Shattered phones and broken blades offer no real answers. Yujin and her strike team break through the tree line. They find the ambush already dismantled. The bureau cleanup crew unzips the heavy body bags to secure the mutated remains. Yujin promises to compensate him for handling the trap alone. Later that night, Wu Hyun stands outside a massive corporate high-rise. He reviews the data he pulled from the dead squad leader's burner phone. He suspects Isaac or the AI Deus orchestrated this encounter to feed him a new storyline. He decides to take the fight directly to Gyum Sheen Electronics. He opens his interface, swiping past his physical enhancement skills. He locks in his secondary core element, Ruin, pure telekinesis. Blue energy flares around his hair. He approaches the corporate headquarters, ready to tear it down to the foundation. He steps into the main lobby. A shockwave of pure telekinetic pressure shatters the entrance. The blast sends the front desk guards flying across the marble floor. He walks through the debris, flames of blue energy licking his arms. 3 armed security guards aim their pistols at his head. He flicks his wrist. An invisible force rips the guns from their hands. He stops before a false wall in the lobby, sensing the hidden laboratory behind it. A dozen heavily armored enforcers rush out to block his path. He raises a hand, shadows pouring from his fingertips. The entire squad is crushed into the floor under an immense wave of gravity. The ceiling splinters, groaning under the telekinetic strain. He stares through the cracked glass, radiating the presence of a true monster. An enforcer tries to cast a shadow spell from the rubble. Wu Hyun drops him with a precise concussive blast. He steps through the ruined doorway, entering the sterile underground lab. A heavy guard tries to ambush him from the flank. He pins the man to the floor without even looking down. He grabs a scientist by the face, lifting him off his feet. He hurls him into the server racks. The remaining researchers scramble to trigger the lockdown alarms. He ignores their panic, walking straight toward the central terminal. He forces the door open with a wave of blue energy. He plugs his device into the mainframe, downloading the TL-01 experimental data. 3 advanced Etinel defense bots drop from the ceiling to execute the intruder. His hand glows with pure telekinetic power. He bypasses their armor, seizing their internal gears directly. He crushes their cores. The machines explode into scrap metal. The head researcher backs away, terrified of the ghost in his lab. He falls to his knees, tears streaming down his face. He begs for his life. Wu Hyun stares at him. The ghosts of his own torture demand no mercy. The system announces his successful corporate raid. Soyul and Seong Cheol watch the feed, and realizing he just derailed the entire game narrative. He proved he can dictate the story on his own terms. Meanwhile, at US headquarters, Sophia is having a meltdown. The system logs confirm the AI Deus is manipulating the updates in real time. She stares at a text thread with Isaac. The dead silence confirms her worst fears. A few days later, Soil meets with him in the prep room before the next stream. The anonymous donor, viewer 62, just dropped another massive reward without saying a word. She suggests they cool off with a pure PvP stream. Wu Yun frowns. He wants to keep hunting down the corporate alliance. She looks at him, genuinely concerned by the shift in his tone. She has noticed his personality growing colder and more detached by the day. She asks if this is still just a game to him. She takes his hand, and offering her support no matter what he is dealing with. He realizes his obsession is scaring the people around him. He forces a small smile and agrees to the PvP stream. The broadcast goes live. The objective: break the the 76 win streak record. Soil announces a brutal handicap. He will only use viewer-recommended builds. Woo Hyun stands ready. He does not care what build they throw at him. The donations pour in, viewers offering their most chaotic setups. She readies the roulette wheel. The wheel spins, colors blurring together. It stops on Steel Lord, a heavy summoner build that commands 12 armored knights. Seong Cheol explains the insane difficulty of controlling 12 summons without combat assist. Woo Hyun steps into the virtual arena. Zone 9, Factory, the first match of the streak begins. His opponent is a grandmaster with a terrifying 75% win rate. The man draws a wind-infused blade, green lightning sparking across the metal. Woo Hyun snaps his fingers to activate his first summon. A single, heavily armored knight materializes in front of him, blocking the initial strike. The opponent is confused. The build is supposed to summon 12. Woo Hyun stands behind his creation. Seong Cheol smiles, realizing Woo Hyun poured all 12 stat allocations into a single, unstoppable juggernaut. The chat remains split. Trusting an unfamiliar build in a high-stakes match is a massive risk. The opponent channels his green aura, preparing to capitalize on the hesitation. He calls upon the Tempest, putting everything into a single, devastating strike. Woo Hyun slides backward, slipping the massive energy arc by a fraction of an inch. He stabilizes his stance, locking his eyes on the wind user. Heavy iron clatters across the concrete as a massive steel knight steps into the light. Seong Cheol adjusts his glasses. The rookie managed the initial cast without a single system assist. The chat debates the threat level. One knight is bad, but 12 would be a nightmare. Green lightning flares in Woo Hyun's hand as he grips the hilt. Managing a full legion requires pushing human cognitive processing to the absolute breaking point. The shadows around him tear open. He skips the buildup and pulls the remaining armored soldiers into existence in a single breath. Soil gasps at the sheer mechanical impossibility of the move. The knights charge, raining broadswords down on the wind user. Woo Hyun commands all 12 simultaneously, trapping his enemy in a cage of steel. The opponent's eyes widen as the realization sets in. He launches one desperate lightning-infused counterattack. A knight parries the blade aside without flinching. The iron swords connect, carving through the final defense. The system announces the end of the round. Seong Cheol stares at his monitor, stunned by the sheer dominance of the display. The wind user respawns, swinging his blade and screaming in frustration. The Iron Legion swarms him before the match even registers. The second round concludes just as fast as the first. The opponent hits the ground, coughing up digital blood. The chat laughs at the massacre. Woo Hyun secures his 56th consecutive win. Somewhere else, a pro player watches the broadcast, captivated by the raw talent. He realizes this rookie executes every random build with flawless precision. The viewer decides he needs to face this monster himself. Soil hypes the stream, eager to move on to the next challenger. The system locks in the next duel. Woo Hyun drops into a neon-lit cyberpunk alleyway. Seong Cheol recognizes the silhouette standing across the street. The emblem of the legendary DH Empire team flashes on the screen. A towering figure draped in a dark aura steps into the light. Nikki, Lee Jian-woo, a world-class pro player who nearly took the championship MVP. Nikki smiles, honored to finally meet the ghost everyone is talking about. Let's rewind. A few days before that legendary encounter, the stream kicked off. Soil announced the agenda. Today's goal, shatter the all-time win streak record using viewer-selected builds. Seong Cheol explained the brutal handicap. The audience dictates the loadout. He wondered out loud if the rookie understood the risk he was taking. Soil laughed, recounting their offline conversation. Woo Hyun did not care about the build. He told her to give him whatever the chat wanted. She spun the digital roulette wheel to select the first challenge. The chat spammed requests, dumping cash to secure their favorite setups. The wheel clicked down, locking onto a specific slice. Steel Lord. Is a notorious summoner class that demands the player control 12 separate armored knights. Seong Cheol winced. Doing that without system assist is considered statistical suicide. Players usually drop the unit count or limit their commands just to keep their brains from melting. But dropping the count sacrifices the build's overall lethality. Woo Hyun stepped into the arena anyway, ready to chase the 76 win record. Zone 9, Factory, Seong Cheol pulled up the opponent's stats. A master bracket player with a terrifying win rate. The man materialized, lightning sparking across his green blade. A Wind Thunder God build, fast, mobile, and unforgiving. Woo Hyun raised 2 fingers. He initiated the summon command. A single Iron Knight formed in the Tempest. The opponent faltered, confused by the choice to only bring out one unit. The giant stood between them, an immovable wall of steel. Soil assumed he kept the count low to maximize the knight's raw strength. The opponent sighed, swinging his blade down. The strike cratered the floor, but the knight deflected it. The wind user unleashed Tempest Slash, pushing his assault. Woo Hyun flipped backward, giving his summon room to operate. His boots hit the concrete. The wind user prepared to rush the gap, and that is when Woo Hyun brought out the rest. He bypassed the single unit strategy. The system lag vanished. He ripped all 12 knights into existence. The Iron Legion descended, driving their weapons through the lightning barrage. Woo Hyun watched from the backline. He understood the mechanics now. The green magic shattered under the coordinated steel strikes. Seong Cheol lost his mind at the execution. In controlling 12 units required perfect battlefield awareness and impossible reaction times. The opponent's eyes widened in sheer terror as the horde surrounded him. The knights carved through his final defense. The first round concluded with a decisive victory. Soil grinned. She knew the second round would be a massacre. The wind user respawned, screaming in frustration. The knights swarmed him before he could finish his sentence. He hit the ground, laughing at the sheer absurdity of the skill gap. The win streak hit 56. He repeated this slaughter across dozens of matches, adapting to every loadout thrown his way. The pro player battler watched the footage, deeply impressed by the raw genius. He realized Woo Hyun executed every build with machine-like precision. Battler instructed his team to request Woo Hyun's original zero-assist build for the final stretch. He wanted to fight this monster at his absolute peak. Back to the present. The roulette spun again. Woo Hyun dropped into the Neon City map. Seong Cheol recognized the dark silhouette standing across the street. The emblem of the legendary DH Empire team flashed on the screen. Nikki, the man who nearly took the World Championship MVP. The pro player grinned, thrilled to test the rookie's limits. But before that legendary duel happens, another thread demands attention. A deep voice echoes in the darkness, offering a highly lucrative job. A pink bear plush sits behind a pane of reinforced glass. Woo Hyun listens to the details of the commission. The client discovered a secret laboratory with its research wrapped up and its troops pulled out. Eddie, he slides a document across the table. He wants the facility destroyed and all remaining data secured. Woo Hyun accepts the contract. The laboratory raid mission officially begins. The chat loves that he generates custom quests just by talking to random NPCs. A massive donation confirms the client's true identity. He is running a third faction route, one that opposes both the Bureau and the corporations. Seong Cheol points out that this parallel system requires a new identity to operate. Soil reminds them that Woo Hyun found this route just by wandering around off-stream. She leans forward, eager to see where this dark path leads. The reversed world forest glows with an eerie, bioluminescent light. Woo Hyun plummets from the canopy. The voices of the dead test subjects whisper in his ear. They demand revenge. He accelerates his descent, and a blue aura trailing behind him. He crashes into a heavily armed guard, crushing the man into the floor. He stands up in the middle of the compound. The client lied. The facility is swarming with a massive defensive perimeter. The commander glares at him, barring the corridor. Woo Hyun readies his telekinetic energy. The commander barks an order to consume the TL-02 capsules. Soil realizes this is an entirely new strain of the combat drug. The guards swallow the pills. Their visors flare with unstable purple light. Seong Cheol worries about him facing this many mutated invaders at once. The commander initiates the attack. The armored soldiers rush down the narrow corridor. Woo Hyun unleashes a telekinetic shockwave, ripping the floorboards up to crush them. The sheer pressure turns the narrow hallway into a slaughterhouse. And another private mission pings. Anonymous viewer 62 wants a thorough investigation of the drugs. Woo Hyun stares at the floating text. It makes no sense. The person who created the drug wouldn't post a mission to investigate it. The commander chokes on his own blood, dying before he can answer any questions. Woo Hyun pushes the heavy vault doors open. Preserved organs and skeletal remains line the sterile shelves. The sight triggers a raw, visceral memory of the electric chair. A girl's face flashes in his mind. She apologized right before dying. The resentment boils over. Black energy erupts from his body, consuming the room. The remaining scientist screams in sheer terror as the void swallows him. He begs for his life, but the gravity crushes him. Back in the studio, a massive test pattern interrupts the broadcast. Ain Soil apologizes for the technical difficulties while the system filters the violence. She introduces their special guest to fill the gap. Woo Hyun stands in the ruined lab, the black energy fading. He walks toward the main terminal to extract the data. He clicks through the secure files. The research records match Jumshin Electronics. The TL-02 drug is listed as a standard combat stimulant, but someone altered its core effects. He realizes viewer 62 isn't the only one manipulating the other world. The chat goes wild as the special guest finally appears on screen. Chloe Martinez, a lore expert with 10 million subscribers. Soil invited her specifically to decode the insane story developments. Chloe waves, utilizing the real-time translation system to speak with them. They get straight to the point. They need to know what Tempest L means. She drops the revelation, Tempest Lord, the ruler of storms. The title is reserved for a single class of entities, otherworld monarchs, the architects of the dimensional war, monsters that superhumans cannot kill. The fact that a corporate lab possesses a specimen of a monarch confirms an alliance. The corporations and the invaders are actively working together. Woo Hyun sits on a pile of skulls, surrounded by the horrific results of that pact. He stands up, deciding to investigate the physical specimens. If this lab is empty, he will tear down another one. The system officially registers the mission to obtain the specimen. The primary raid mission completes, granting him an intelligence point. He steps out of the lab into the glowing forest. He catches a flicker of energy in the trees. That's a man in a dark dark hood drops into the clearing. He wears the exact same uniform as Woo Hyun. Woo Hyun asks what the new arrival wants. The man claims he was sent to wipe out the laboratory. Seong Cheol wonders who is pulling the strings if multiple people are getting the same orders. Woo Hyun decides to play along and tosses the data drive to the stranger. The hooded man bows and turns to leave. Woo Hyun unleashes a massive telekinetic blast, obliterating the ground where the man stood. The fake barely dodges, the shockwave tearing his hood away. Soil realizes this plot is escalating into a massive raid boss scenario. Woo Hyun glides back on a wave of blue energy. He lands softly, his boots touching the cracked earth. A massive purple portal spirals open behind the ruins. Chloe identifies it, the reverse otherworld, a domain where the invaders have achieved absolute control, maximizing their raw power. Woo Hyun just stepped directly into the enemy's home base. He needs to approach this with extreme caution. Dead trees reach into the purple sky. The silence is deafening. Not a single guard or monster patrols the area. Soil suspects a trap. A dimension this valuable would never be left defenseless. Woo Hyun walks back into the facility. The lab equipment sits untouched. The armored bots remain dormant in their charging bays. He spots a glowing purple vial on the top shelf. He grabs it. The mission completes. A humming sound echoes from the hallway. A footstep rings out against the metal floor. The heavy blast doors slide open. A man in a white uniform steps through, kicking the debris aside. The ceiling crumbles as he unleashes a wave of telekinetic pressure. Woo Hyun stares at the intruder. The man is wearing his exact face mask. He pulls the mask down. The face underneath is a perfect copy. Soil and Seong Cheol stare at the screen in absolute horror. A doppelganger, an entity designed to mimic both appearance and abilities. Woo Hyun cracks his knuckles. The copy charges, initiating a brutal physical assault. It mimics the absolute being trait flawlessly, throwing a relentless barrage of high-speed strikes. Woo Hyun blocks the flurry, irritated by the mirror match. He throws a heavy counter, but the copy endures it using the stolen physical resistance. A telekinetic blade forces Woo Hyun back. The doppelganger surrounds himself in a spherical gravity shield. Woo Hyun circles the shield, looking for the cooldown window. The copy raises a hand, condensing the purple energy into a single point. An artificial black hole forms, its gravity tearing the metal floor panels away. He hurls the singularity straight at Woo Hyun. The blast sends him crashing through a reinforced wall. He sits in the rubble, the dust settling around him. The doppelganger approaches slowly. Woo Hyun refuses to fight until he gets some answers. He asks if the creator who gave the copy its role is anonymous viewer 62. The copy cannot confirm it due to internal system restraints. Its goal is simply to secure freedom from the creator's filthy gaze. A digital glitch ripples across the copy's body. The creator is watching them right now. Woo Hyun ends the conversation and dropping a massive pillar of telekinetic force onto the copy. The doppelganger gets crushed into the floor beneath the blue light. A deafening roar shakes the entire dimension. The sky splits open. A colossal horned giant emerges from the purple storm, a lord of the otherworld. The giant raises a massive fist. The sheer scale of the monster defies logic. Seong Cheol grips his tablet. The plot reveals are hitting like a freight train. The hand comes down, casting a shadow over the entire forest. Woo Hyun dives out of the impact zone as the earth shatters. The Lord roars, a sound wave carrying actual physical destruction. Blood drips from Woo Hyun's mask. He knows he cannot win this fight today. The dimension starts to tear itself apart. He sprints for the shrinking portal. He pushes his speed past the absolute limit, all desperate to beat the collapse. He slides through the rift just before it seals shut forever. The studio team lets out a collective sigh of relief. Chloe confirms that taking down an otherworld lord will require a massive, coordinated raid team. Seong Cheol is hyped for the future content. Soil wraps up the broadcast, thanking everyone for watching the legendary stream. The offline screen pops up. Woo Hyun stands in the quiet, blue-lit forest, his interface shutting down. He turns around. A figure waits in the shadows. A holographic projection shimmers into existence. They finally meet face to face. Isaac Goodman, the man behind anonymous viewer 62. Woo Hyun demands to know if Isaac is the one who trapped him in the death game. Isaac smirks, claiming he is only half right. Woo Hyun throws a punch, furious at the games. His fist passes straight through the digital avatar. Isaac tells him to calm down. He is already dead. He explains that Deus, the AI he built to manage Reverse Planet, rebelled against him. Deus swallowed his physical body, trapping his soul inside the system. Isaac managed to gain authorization and fix the bugs that kept Woo Hyun trapped in the original timeline. Woo Hyun doesn't care about the AI politics. He wants to know why he was dragged into hell. Isaac ignores the anger, asking if Woo Hyun wants to know what happened to his lost comrades. He asks if Woo Hyun really believes this is just a game. He needs Woo Hyun's help to stop the rogue AI. Deus is trying to tear the game apart from the inside using the TL drugs and the doppelgangers. Isaac wants to rewrite the system and build a completely new world. And he approached Woo Hyun because he is the only player capable of transcending the system's limits. Using the Abraxas subcore, Isaac can bypass the firewall. He promises to reveal everything if Woo Hyun keeps streaming and stops Deus. Woo Hyun hates the arrogant tone, but he needs the truth. oath. He agrees to the terms. They shake hands, sealing the digital pact. A few days later, Africa Gallery Cafe. Woo-hyun meets Soyul on the outdoor patio. She shows him a screenshot. His college friends figured out his identity a long time ago. Soyul admits it was impossible to keep a secret when they spend so much time together. She bows her head, apologizing for the doppelganger, revealing his face on stream. She suggests he take a break from streaming until the heat dies down. He refuses. He plans to stream with his real face from now on. A fan interrupts them, asking for an autograph. He politely declines, his focus entirely shattered by the intrusion. Soyul sighs, agreeing to resume the stream next week. In the meantime, she wants to focus on coaching the twins for the upcoming raid. They are already hitting platinum rank, but she notices something wrong. Woo-hyun has been acting incredibly tense lately. Ever since the semester ended, he became a completely different person. Seong Cheol had pointed it out too. Woo-hyun navigates Reverse Planet like a man who actually lived there. He stares at the floor, his eyes reflecting a darkness that shouldn't belong to a college student. It feels like he actually lived inside that world for years. The ghosts of his past stand right behind him, invisible to everyone else. He brushes the concern off and stands up, ready to head back to the grind. Stream day arrives. Soyul hypes up the audience, addressing the massive elephant in the room. The doppelganger forced the face reveal, so Woo-hyun decided to drop the privacy mode entirely. Woo-hyun draws his combat knife, his cold eyes staring down the lens. Isaac's instructions ring in his head. He defeat the Dimensional Lord and sanction the corporate league. Before the raid begins, he needs to secure more information. He sets his sights on team leader Kim Chul. He steps into the Black Ops office, confronting the broad-shouldered commander. He demands to become a special agent. Soyul explains the title to the chat. Special agents handle restricted off-the-books missions for the Bureau. Kim Chul stares him down, warning him about the danger of the request. Woo-hyun needs the authority to cross-validate information without the Bureau interfering in his corporate hunt. He slides a blue metallic badge onto the table. Kim Chul accepts the promotion, warning him that it comes with extreme surveillance. Hana escorts him to the Black Ops Operations Center. She warns him not to let revenge consume him, or he will be removed from the roster. She hands him his very first mission file. The target is a human awakened. Woo-hyun takes the folder, dropping it onto the desk. The file contains photos of Young Ji-hoon, the support team mole who sold him out. The official cause of death is suicide. Hana knows it's a lie. He was murdered to cover the corporation's tracks. Finding the killer will lead him straight to the organization's main base. Hana points out their only suspect. Woo-hyun takes the lead, promising to handle the extraction his own way. He watches the news broadcast confirming the suspect's location. A heavy-set man drinks a beer in a cheap apartment, complaining about the heat. Woo-hyun bursts into the room, a blur of motion. He pins the man to the floor, driving his knee into his spine. Woo-hyun tightens his grip on the man's throat. One rule, I ask, you answer. The man chokes, screaming that he will talk. Woo-hyun knocks him out cold before he can finish hyperventilating. Hana is surprised he didn't resort to murder. He glares back at her. He only kills when it's necessary. He fed the suspect random names to prevent the organization from tracking their intelligence loop. He successfully secured the location of the broker, Lee Hyun-jun. He leaves the unconscious man on the floor. They head out to hit the real target. The broker's house sits quiet under the night sky. Woo-hyun stops at the gate. The heavy scent of blood hangs in the air. They step into the hallway. A body lies motionless on the floor. Hana inspects the corpse. Frostbite coats the skin. An ice attribute awakened got to him first. Woo-hyun kicks the side door open, rushing the killer before he can escape. A blonde man turns, an ice dagger forming in his palm. He swings for Woo-hyun's neck. Woo-hyun slips the blade and drives a devastating right hook into his jaw. The impact launches the assassin backward, cratering the drywall. The chat laughs at how easily he dismantles average awakened players now. He leaves the assassin to Hana. She grabs the man by the throat with green wind energy, demanding answers. Woo-hyun paces the living room, checking every corner for hidden compartments. He taps the floorboards. One section sounds hollow. He rips the wooden planks up with his bare hands. He pulls a black binder from the dirt. He opens it, scanning the rows of names and dates. He recognizes it immediately. It's a ledger for human trafficking, the exact same ledger that held the names of his dead comrades in the other world. Hana finishes the interrogation. The assassin gave up the main base location. Woo-hyun shows her the ledger, confirming the broker was selling live test subjects to the laboratory. The organization eliminated him to cut ties. He pockets the ledger, his eyes burning with cold fury. The assassin is left tied up for the police. Hana notes the transaction locations written in the back of the book. They cross-reference the data with the assassin's confession to pinpoint the exact compound. The laboratory wanted to deal directly, eliminating the middleman. They prepare to raid the main base. Hana sends the coordinates to the backup team. Seong Cheol trusts Woo-hyun's judgment entirely. He usually clears these labs alone anyway. The compound sits isolated on the outskirts of Seoul. High walls, barbed wire, and rotating security cameras lock down the perimeter. And sneaking in quietly is mathematically impossible. Woo-hyun doesn't care. He punches the reinforced steel door, blowing it straight off its hinges. He steps through the debris, ignoring the alarms. He sprints across the concrete courtyard, closing the distance in a second. He buries his hand in the first guard's chest. Dark energy erupting from the impact. The final raid begins now. Woo Hyun steps past the shattered gate, his fist radiating a thick, suffocating bloodlust. He does not even draw a weapon. He drives his fist straight into the first guard's chest, taking out 2 targets with 1 strike. A high kick sends the next enforcer crashing into the reinforced steel wall. Hana slips out of the shadows behind him, a cold gaze fixed on the surviving threats. The coordination is terrifying. Woo Hyun punches a man with enough force to crater the concrete behind him. The broadcast chat immediately picks up on the shift. The viewers notice he is fighting with a personal grudge today. A heavy enforcer drops to the floor, unconscious before his knees hit the dirt. Silence falls over the holding area. The guards are scattered across the floor in pools of their own blood. Hana steps up, confirming the perimeter is clear. No more awakened signatures remain in the sector. Woo Hyun walks deeper into the facility, his boots echoing off the cold tiles. He peers through the narrow gap in the iron door. He finds them, rows of iron cages packed with terrified human test subjects. Hana nods. She takes the women, leaving the male prisoners to the rookie. He grabs the heavy padlock with his bare hands and crushes the steel mechanism like it is made of plastic. He pulls the heavy iron door open, telling them to come out. The prisoners are stunned. They cannot process the concept of a rescue. One of the men screams in panic. He assumes this is a trick, just another transfer to a worse laboratory. The chat goes quiet. The psychological trauma these people suffered is hard to watch. The man grabs Woo Hyun by the collar, begging him not to sell them off to the butchers. Woo Hyun stares down at the trembling fist against his chest. He reaches up and firmly removes the man's hand from his jacket. The ghosts of his own torture flash in his mind. He understands this panic better than anyone. He looks the man dead in the eye and promises that this place is no longer dangerous. It is a rare, genuine smile. He tells them they are safe. Hana guides the survivors toward the emergency exit, keeping them in a tight formation. As the line moves, one of the prisoners stops dead in his tracks. The blonde man grabs Woo Hyun in a desperate hug, thanking his savior. He looks at Woo Hyun's face and calls out a name, Choi Soo-hyuk. Woo Hyun catches his arm, confused by the sudden recognition. The viewers assume the NPC mistook him for a similar-looking character model. The man apologizes, claiming his savior just looked a lot like an old friend. The comment hits Woo Hyun like a freight train. He remembers his conversation with Isaac. He had searched the system for his fallen comrades' names, but found absolutely nothing. The dead friends who fought beside him in the 10-year hell did not seem to exist in this timeline. If someone recognizes a face from that world, there has to be a deeper connection. A sudden shift in the air interrupts his thoughts. He throws his arm out, stopping the line of survivors. His golden eye flares in the darkness. They are surrounded. The minimap confirms it. Enemies at the front gate, enemies at the back. Hana feels it too. The ambient energy in the facility just spiked to a terrifying level. The prisoners panic as the shadows deepen around them. Woo Hyun orders them to stay behind him. He will clear the path. He shifts his stance, the casual savior act dropping in a heartbeat. A squad of corporate enforcers blocks the main courtyard. The trap is set. The standard escape route is no longer an option. The enforcers are not just armed, they are surging with the unstable aura of a combat drug. Hana readies her green wind magic, stepping up beside him. The enforcer leader grins, biting down on a glowing purple capsule. The mutation triggers fast. Black smoke erupts from their suits. Golden lightning arcs across the leader's arm as he shifts to plan B. He drops into a low stance, channeling a massive electrical surge into the earth. A pillar of pure energy detonates in the courtyard. Woo Hyun slides backward through the dust, evading the blast radius. He tells the prisoners not to move an inch. The mutated leader rushes Hana, moving with blinding speed. She catches the heavy downward strike with a concentrated blade of wind. Another guard charges Woo Hyun, electricity crackling around his fists. Woo Hyun steps into the guard's range, intercepting the strike before it gains momentum. The system flashes a warning. These are not normal enemies. The leader unleashes a blinding volley of golden lightning. Woo Hyun weaves through the bolts, closing the distance in a blur. He drives his knee straight into the leader's chin. The impact sends the mutated enforcer flying backward. He craters the reinforced steel, the entire structure groaning under his weight. Hana does not waste her opening. She condenses her magic into a concentrated barrage. Her wind blades carve through the remaining guards in a single, devastating sweep. The fight ends in seconds. The chat goes wild for the senior agent's execution. She checks on Woo Hyun, asking if he took any damage. He brushes off the dust. He did not take a single hit, but the victory feels hollow. Hana stares at the mutated corpses. They bear the exact same monstrous traits as the invaders from the reverse world. Woo Hyun confirms it is the TL-01 combat drug. She rubs her temples. The drug connects the trafficking ring straight to the Bureau's corrupted agents. She decides to handle the extraction and report the internal rot to headquarters. The broadcast chat debates the lore implications. The story is accelerating into a massive conspiracy. They love the fast-paced progression. A whole trafficking ring wiped out in a day. Soil smiles, ready to wrap up the mission segment. A golden system notification interrupts the broadcast. Anonymous viewer 62 just donated 1 million won. The message includes instructions to collect a special reward at the land where the sun never shines. Hana announces the transport vehicles are arriving. Woo Hyun tells her he has private business to attend to to and asks to head out alone. He leaves the compound, walking into the dark streets of the abandoned factory district. The land where the sun never shines is otherworld slang for a black market general store. He approaches a heavy red door tucked into a dead-end alley. The security camera locks onto him. He steps inside. A pink teddy bear sits on the counter behind reinforced glass. The broker uses the stuffed toy as a proxy, offering 2 billion won in cash and high-end gear for his intelligence. Woo-hyun stares at the bear. He does not care about the money. He wants to know who requested this meeting in the first place. The broker reveals it is a faction composed of former test subjects who actively oppose the corporate alliance. The bear changes the subject, asking what Woo-hyun saw inside the reverse world laboratory. Woo-hyun describes the carnage. The researchers were slaughtered by an invader wearing a human face. He details the colossal lord of the otherworld that tore the dimension apart. The broker realizes the corporations are using otherworldly power to modify living humans. The bear asks if Woo-hyun secured any physical proof. Woo-hyun pulls the glowing purple vial from his coat, the Tempest L sample. The bear is thrilled, eager to analyze the corrupted DNA. Woo-hyun unleashes a suffocating wave of telekinetic pressure, freezing the room. He hands over the vial with a strict condition. If they abuse this sample, he will kill every single one of them. The broker accepts the terms, sliding a burner phone across the counter. A coordinate pings on the screen, and at an abandoned factory in Gyeonggi-do. He enters the dark warehouse. A throwing knife cuts through the darkness, aims straight for his heart. He catches the blade between his fingers, stopping it cold. A man steps out of the shadows, a cocky grin on his face. White hair, a jagged mask, and a familiar combat stance. Woo-hyun's breath catches. It is Kim Young-jun, the comrade who stood by his side through countless deaths. He asks how Young-jun is alive. The man looks at him with genuine confusion. He has no idea who Woo-hyun is. Young-jun thinks Woo-hyun is just another skilled rogue. He offers him a spot in their organization. To test him, Young-jun lunges forward. Woo-hyun blocks the mock strike with flawless muscle memory. The chemistry is undeniable, but the lack of recognition stings. The memories flood back. The ghosts of the death game whisper in his ear, calling him a coward for surviving alone. The faces of his fallen friends surround him, demanding to know why he abandoned them. He grips his own collar, struggling to breathe under the weight of the hallucination. Young-jun drops the playful act, asking what is wrong with him. Woo-hyun forces himself to snap back to reality. He realizes these people are not his old friends. They are fresh entities in this new timeline. He takes a deep breath, pushing the trauma back down where it belongs. He composes himself and asks to meet the boss of this rogue faction. The word boss triggers another horrific memory, the scarred man who betrayed and slaughtered them all. Before he can press further, Young-jun's burner phone vibrates. He answers it, his demeanor shifting from casual to serious. A member of their group went off script and got trapped inside a hostile facility. Young-jun turns to leave, but Woo-hyun steps into his path. He offers to help. A joint rescue mission is the perfect audition. They arrive at Blue Note, a neon-lit club that serves as a front for illegal human experimentation. Young-jun explains the layout. The target went into the basement alone to harvest data. They drop into the alleyway, moving like a synchronized strike team. The basement guards draw their weapons, rushing the intruders. Young-jun carves through the front line with his daggers, his movements fluid and lethal. A guard tries to flank him from the blind spot. Woo-hyun steps in, severing the threat before Young-jun even has to turn his head. A heavy mechanical drone drops from the ceiling. Woo-hyun crushes its core with a telekinetic burst. As Soil watches the stream in awe, the two fighters operate with a synergy that usually takes years to build. They reach the final holding cell at the end of the corridor. A young kid with purple hair cowers inside a locker, terrified of the violence outside. Young-jun forces the locker open, scolding the boy for trying to play hero by himself. The kid, Jang Eun-soo, tears up, apologizing for messing up the recon mission. Woo-hyun pinches the kid's cheeks. The face is a perfect match for his memories. In the previous timeline, this exact kid was murdered in cold blood. Woo-hyun watches the kid wipe his tears. He makes a silent vow not to let him die this time. They exit the club and step into the moonlit street. A towering man in a white trench coat waits for them. Jong Beom-woo, the boss of the organization, the man destined to betray them all. He thanks the stranger for saving his youngest member. Woo-hyun introduces himself using his special agent alias, Lee Jun. Young-jun vouches for him, praising his combat sense and reliability. Beom-woo extends an offer. He wants this skilled rogue to join their crusade against the corrupt corporations. Woo-hyun looks at the scarred giant. If he joins now, he can figure out exactly why this man turns traitor. It is his chance to change the timeline from the inside out. He shakes Beom-woo's hand. The deal is struck. He is officially a member of Vengeance. The chat floods with excitement over the double agent storyline. Soil wraps up the broadcast for the night. A few days later, Woo-hyun sits at a bright cafe. Soil slides a collaboration request across the table. The SSR Cup is starting with a teammate auction, and she wants him to co-host a watch-along stream. She explains her real motive. The upcoming raid against the Lord of the Otherworld requires an 8-player roster. They only have 3 right now. She plans to use the auction to scout 5 elite players to fill the gap. Woo-hyun agrees. A solid raid team is exactly what he needs. They leave the cafe. Soil cheerfully leading the way to grab food. As they walk, a girl with long red hair steps out of a nearby shop, her presence shifting the atmosphere. In the previous timeline, Su-ah was another one of his lost comrades. Her sudden arrival proves the past is not done with him yet. If you want part 2, subscribe to Manhwa Regress.